What's up, hooligans? We're back! What's up, hooligans, and welcome back to my channel. So today I got something kind of different for y'all. Focus. And kind of like a sneak peek of what's going to be on my second channel, even though this person is not anywhere near what people make him out to be. But I did some research on this person and found some rather interesting things. So today I'm going to tell you guys a little story about this man named William Kenneth Wagner. Yeah. Also known as Kinnie, not K-E-N-N-Y. It's K-I-N-N-I-E. Kinnie. Well, Mr. Kinnie was born February 18th in 1903 to Charles Monroe Wagner and Nancy Jane Penley Wagner. He had 4 siblings. Kinnie's mother died when he was 12 years old, and later on his father decided he was going to remarry to another lady whose name I don't know, and she herself had 5 children. So that would be 9 kids total in the house, and Kinnie didn't think there was enough room for everybody, and he wasn't getting the attention that he needed, so he decided that they'd just be better off without him, so he ran away. So he ran away to work at a feed store where he would be working with feed, I guess. I don't know, but his dad eventually did find him and whatnot and made him come home, you know, and he was saying that life was going to be better this time and everything like that. So he went home, which it wasn't. Obviously, I mean, can't really change the fact that you have 9 children in your house. So he decided, oh, enough's enough, I'm running away again. So, after that, he ran away again, farther away this time, in hopes that his dad wouldn't find him to make him come home. And he worked on a farm, and he was a farmhand, and he would take care of the animals, and he'd feed them, and he'd drive the dude's cart back and forth to the store for him, and everything like that. Well, eventually, obviously, his dad did find him and would beg him to come home, and he was saying that life's going to be so much better now and whatnot. So the farmhand didn't really want to give Kinnie up, because he said that nobody's ever took as good care of his animals and his crops and stuff as Kinnie did. You know, he was only 12, maybe 13 at that time. So he ended up going home, and it still wasn't as good as everybody kept telling him it was going to be. So the circus came to town, and apparently that was the thing back in the 20s. When circus came to town, you would run away and join the circus. So that's what Kinnie did. He was first just a handy boy. He would clean up after the animals and put hay down and fix things, but he eventually saw that in the trick shots and riding the ponies was where the money was at, because Kinnie wanted to help put his sisters through school, and so he took the job with trick shots, and he would ride the ponies and he would shoot things, I guess. Well, he eventually got so good that it said that he could throw 5 walnuts up in the air, pull his .38 caliber pistol, and shoot all 5 of those walnuts while they were still in the air. He says that he never aimed, that he shot out of instinct, so he became extremely good at shooting. But the story and his troubles started in 1925 when Kinnie was allegedly convicted of stealing a pocket watch. And that was in Mississippi. While he was awaiting his trial, him and another inmate overtook the guard and they escaped. He stole a horse and they escaped. And a posse of cops did track him down in an old shack somewhere, and they shootout did start out then, and Kinnie ended up killing one of the deputies, and he fled back to his native land in Kingsport, Tennessee, and he was meeting his sister and a friend on the Holston Valley River. And soon the cops got word and everything that he was supposed to be coming, or somebody snitched on him or something. So they ended up meeting him there on the way there, actually. He didn't even make it all the way to the river to meet his sister, because it was said that she could hear the gunfire and she knew that they were going to catch him. But a big, huge gunfight broke out, and there was 5 local cops total shooting at him, and he ended up killing 2 of them and wounding 1, which the wounded one did eventually end up dying, where he fled again, and he eventually surrendered, probably years later, I don't know, to a shopkeeper in Waycross, Virginia. But by the time Kinnie was 24 years old, he'd done killed 5 people, and he himself had been shot 7 times. But following his trial for killing the cops in Sullivan County, they ended up getting the verdict of the death penalty by the electric chair. But Kinnie was like, no. So he escaped the state prison. While he was escaped, there was 2 men that he knew personally, named Will and Sam Carper, not Carpenter, Carper, and they were hanging out and everything, and apparently, well, obviously, he killed 5 people. He had a bounty on his head, so the money meant more to them than friendship, so they come up behind Kinnie and they hit him with a branch from a tree, I think that's what it said, and they tried to get him, beat him up. That's pretty much what they did. They beat him up, and Kinnie wasn't having it, so he ended up shooting them and killing both of them while they were on E.P. Williams' farm. I think that's what it was called. But he knew them. That's what's just messed up to me, you know, but whatever. Kinnie eventually got sick of life on the run, and he turned himself into a female sheriff named Lily Barber. But with Kinnie being the strikingly handsome man that he was, with his 6'5" tall, weighing all of 260 pounds, with his curly black hair, Miss Lily Bob fell in love with Kinnie Wagner. And she eventually refused to turn him in, because in Arkansas, murder is a capital punishment and was the death penalty, like, right away. So with him being wanted in Mississippi, Tennessee, and Arkansas, his first crime of the pocket watch being in Mississippi, he was trialed there in 1926, and he eventually was sentenced to life in prison at Parchman Farms, where he once again tried to escape, but there was a snitch or an informant, and they told on him, and it was foiled. But they allowed him to become a trustee. They allowed him to be a bounty hunter. They allowed him to train. He was the head trainer of the bloodhounds. They would allow him to go alone on a horseback and bounty these people that they were missing. But in 1940, he escaped again from the state prison for 3 years this time, to be found at his home in Virginia. This reporter lady walked up to his land in Virginia, and he come out of the house, and he asked who she was, and she said who she was. She was a reporter and everything, but there was this creek between where she was and his log cabin. So he walked across the creek and picked her up and carried her across the creek so that her shoes and her stockings wouldn't get wet, and he let her interview him, and he told her his whole life story on how when he was escaped before, there was he just pretty much wanted to let her know that he never hurt anybody who didn't try to hurt him first. That he was genuinely a good person. He never hurt anybody who didn't try to hurt him first. You know, if you shoot at me, I'm gonna shoot back at you. You know, like, he wanted them to know that he wasn't a bad person. That he regretted a lot of the stuff that he did. Well, him and this journalist lady became extremely good friends. And she eventually wrote to people trying to get his story out for him and show that his innocence and how he would like to be pardoned for a lot of this stuff, because a lot of the stuff that he was being accused of by family members or friends of the cops that he had killed. So it was more of like revenge type stuff. But anyway, he was caught in Virginia eventually and returned to the Parchment. Hi, Ellie. The Parchment prison. Again, he was a model prisoner until 1948, when he just walked away and escaped again. Technically, he didn't escape because they allowed him to leave, but he just walked away and never came back. His last escape, though, was the best one and the most noticeable one. When he came back, they once again let him be a trustee. I mean, how many times are you gonna eventually learn dude's just not gonna stay? So they made him a trustee, and he would train the bloodhounds again. But see, Kinnie was like, they're gonna follow my scent when I leave. So he eventually trained the bloodhounds not to follow. Okay, sorry guys, my camera died, so I'm using my phone, so if this is really crappy, I'm sorry. But anyway, he trained the bloodhounds not to follow his scent, so when he escaped, they wouldn't, follow him. But he did remain at large that last escape for several years under the name of Big Jim as his alias. He was placed on the FBI's top most wanted list, and he eventually did get caught again, and they took him back to Parchment Prison in Mississippi, where he died in 1958. He was already sick. He had some kind of heart problem, and the lady journalist I was talking about before came and was telling him that, because she would come and see him like every week, and they would write his story because he wanted his story to be told. He wanted people to know that he wasn't a bad guy. There was actually people put him out to be a really, really bad guy, which I know everybody's gonna say he was a bad guy. You shot people and you died, but like, everybody knew him. He had TV shows about him. They even made a comic book. Yes, this is from 1948. It says Killer of Kinnie Wagner. I actually bought this comic. It's mine. And he was telling this lady, this journalist, that he was getting blamed for murders and stuff that he didn't even do. That he, before he, joined the circus, he never even shot a gun. He said while he was in the circus, he shot a gun maybe 50 times. He said that he regretted what he did, that he wanted to work with young men and women so that they wouldn't follow in his footsteps. He told her that one time when he was on the run, some lady named Granny's son got killed, and she said, well, the cops asked her, well, do you have any clue who did it? And she said, well, it's Kinnie Wagner. He's out and he's escaped. Who else could it be? So Kinnie got word of this, and he walked into this lady's house, and he handed her his guns, and he said, now, Granny, if you think I killed your son, you can go ahead and shoot me. And she told him, no, now I don't think you did it. She goes, but can you find who did kill my son? So Kinnie went out and found the man that killed her son and brought him, the bad man, whoever it was, back to this lady's house, tied him to the chair and left, and she called the police. he told the lady, you know, like, if you're afraid that I'm gonna hurt anybody out in the free world, I'm willing to have both of my hands amputated. He said that he's not a bad man. Well, she finally got his story done. She came that day to tell him, you know, it's going to the press, you know, and Kinnie's dog was a German Shepherd that he was training, just had a litter of puppies. So he asked them if he could be released from the medical ward so that he could go and see the puppies. So they took him from the medical ward over to see the puppies, and he picked up a puppy and he was showing it to the lady who worked there as a secretary, and he had a heart attack and died right there holding a puppy. And it said that it wasn't anything less suspected because he was a gentle person for him to go out holding a puppy. But yeah, that's just some craziness of what I found about Mr. Kinnie Wagner. And why am I just all of a sudden telling you guys this crazy story? Well, because he's my cousin. Catch you on the flip-flop. What's up, hooligans? We're